Hey guys, this is Naveen here. Welcome back to Naveen Automation Labs and back to our Playwright TypeScript series. In this video, we are going to talk about that how to use various selectors in Playwright. So what exactly I have done, I'll be creating 3 to 4 videos on this particular topic. So there are around 14 to 15 different types of locators are there in Playwright. So in the part one, we are going to talk about these top five like ID, class name, text, CSS, or the XPath. In the part two, we will talk about data test ID, role selector, combining selectors. These are the different new types of selectors Playwright has introduced, where if you're coming from the Selenium background, you might not see these kind of locators or the selectors. Then we will see that in the next part, we will see chaining selectors, frame locators, attributes based selector, nth selector, and then later on, we will see SVG selectors and the shadow DOM. And in the shadow DOM also, we will see a direct selector and the piercing shadow DOM also later. So I'll prepare 3 to 4 videos for this particular topic. Okay. So today we are going to talk about these top five, which are very straightforward: ID, class, text, and CSS and XPath. I'm not going to teach you that how to use XPath or how to create the XPath and CSS. I'm expecting that you guys are already aware of the basics of XPath and basics of CSS. I'm going to tell you that how to use XPath and CSS in Playwright. If you're coming from Selenium or Cypress or any other UI automation tool background where you have already used XPath or CSS, it will help you a lot because XPath and CSS concept, the syntax, the logic, everything will remain same in the Playwright as well. Simple. Okay. Now I'll do one thing. I just simple go to my Visual Studio Code and under my test, I'll going to create, let's see, this is my locator one dot spec dot TypeScript file that I'm going to create. We can pick any application. So let's say I'm going to pick this particular application and I'll do one thing just to launch the browser. I'll just take it from here to here. Okay. Just copy this and paste it here. After that, I don't need these things and then just closing the brackets also here, right? Simple. So what exactly I'm doing here? I'm just, you can see here, I hope the screen is visible. Okay, great. So I'm writing a simple test. So let's see, this is my locator test. I'm changing the test name. I'm using the Chrome browser, how to launch the browser and everything that we have already seen in the previous videos. Channel Chrome that I'm using, headless equal to false. I'm going to open a page with the new URL. Let's see, login URL or whatever the URL that you want to open. So let's see, today we are going to open this account registration page here. So I'll just change the URL to the account registration here. Perfect. Okay. Now what we have to do here is with this particular page a reference that we are already having it or page object that we are having it, there is one method that we have to use it, a locator method. So you see that this method returns an element locator that can be used to perform action on this particular page or the frame. So today we are going to talk about the page. Frame we will see later. So what kind of action? So my first target is that we have to create a locator and then we have to perform the action on it. So that remember this particular formula. My target is that create a locator or create a web element. Okay. With the help of what? With the help of some locator. And then we have to perform some action on it. What kind of action that we can perform? We can perform dot click. We can perform fill. We can just check that, okay, that element is really visible or displayed or anything. So any kind of action that we can perform here. So first target is that we have to create a web element. So just like in Selenium, we have driver.find element. Here we have to use page.locator method. That is what we have to use it here. And then let's see the first element that I'm going to talk about, or first locator strategy that I'm going to talk about, the ID here. We know that, okay, ID is always a unique locator and ID cannot be duplicate and ID should always be unique locator in the DOM. So let's see, I'm just going to inspect this particular guy. And then here you can see ID is equal to input hyphen first name. And then what is the syntax? The syntax is very simple. See the page.locator ID equal to this, and that's it. You don't need to write page.locator.id or something. ID equal to whatever the ID is available. You just need to write it there. So see, I'll just come back here. And then here I'm writing that I want to use ID, which is equal to what? Whatever the ID that you have written, input hyphen first name, and then you just write this entire thing in the single quote here. And then after that, on this ID, what exactly you want? So let's say I just want to enter something here. So let's say I'm writing that test automation here. That is what the first name, let's say I really want to write. So I can fill like this also. So see this, is it really justifying the formula? Yes, first I'm creating the web element, or you can say a locator, and then I'm using an action on it. That is fill method I'm using. Test automation. Fill means enter something there. Just like we have send keys in Selenium, we have fill method here. So I do one thing, I don't want to fill it right away like this. I just want to maintain the locator. So page.locator will give you what? See, page.locator will give you a locator reference here. So can I store in a constant here? So let's say I'm giving some nice name that the first name is equal to this. And what is the type of this first name? The type of this first name, if you really want to write, you can write a locator here like this. And this locator will be automatically imported over here. So by default, we know that, okay, page.locator will always give you a locator. So you can write safer side, you can write the type also. The what is the type of this first name? This is the major advantage that you are getting in the TypeScript. So likewise, let's see, I can create one more locator here. So let's see, now I'm going to create, let's see, last name here. Okay. And the last name will be, let's quickly inspect the last name as well. And if the ID is available, input hyphen last name. So just copy this and you simply come back here and let's see ID is equal to input hyphen last name. So two locators that I have created. Now what exactly I want? I want to perform some action on it. So now this is a major advantage that we are getting, that the moment I get these locators, now after that, whatever the action that I want to perform, I can perform it. So now I'm going to use dot fill. And what do you want to fill? So let's see, the first name I'm writing here, Naveen here, for example, or whatever you want to write, Naveen here. And then in the last name, what do you want to write? So let's see, last name dot fill. Again, I'm writing Naveen Automation Labs here. Something like this. Let's see, this is a last name. And that's it. So let's see, is it really working or not with the ID? So I'm just going to run it and let's see, is it really working or not? Okay. So yeah, you can see the Chrome browser is getting open. And just try to observe the first name and the last name only, although it's like very quick, and it says that error was part of my this and target page context has been closed. Okay, so what could be the issue? See this, I'll tell you what is the issue here. The issue here is that we have missed to write await here, right? Because this is again one asynchronous call which is returning a promise. So while creating the locator, you don't need to write any await, but when performing some action on it, you have to write what? You have to write await. It means await for this particular step so that it will fill Naveen, and then await for this particular element so that it can fill Automation Labs, and then it will close the browser, right? So let's run it again. So make sure that, okay, you're writing await also there. So let's see, the browser is getting opened once again. And let's see, now this time it's getting passed here, but you can see that browser is immediately getting closed. If you don't want to close the browser, what you can do it here is just simple write one step here. I'll show you quickly that just write this line, await new promise, which is giving me a blank promise here, prevents your script from exiting. So with this, simple write it here in the end so that it will not close the browser immediately. It will close the browser after 30 seconds. Okay. So let me just simple run it again. So we'll see here once again. See, it's entering Naveen and Automation Labs here. So likewise, if ID is available, you can fill other information also there. So very straightforward. That's it. Okay. Let me just simple close this here. Now this is the first one, that ID that we have used, right? Now the second one that I want to use it, if you come back here in our, let me just simply close this. If you second one, if you see that we can use the class name also, select the element based on their class. So how do you use class name? So let's see if any class is available. So here I'm using the class name, right? So same thing, I'm writing page dot locator. And then what is the class name? So remember this, for the class, always remember that you have to use a dot and then the class name. That is what you have to use it here, right? So by default, it looks like a CSS selector, which is actually a default CSS selector that we are passing into the locator. As such, we don't have any method like page.locator by class name or something. So we have to supply the class name. If the class name is available, you can write dot also there. Okay. So let's do one thing. I'm just writing, let's see, one locator with the class. So I'll do one thing. I just simply come back here and I try to inspect this particular logo image. You can see Naveen Automation Labs is here, and having a class is equal to img responsive here. And what is a CSS selector for that? Dot class name, I can use it here, which is giving me 1 of 1 here, right? So same thing I'm writing here, that dot, whatever the class name is there. And then again, I'm just writing again a specific constant I'm storing it. So let's see, this is my logo, which is equal to this. And logo is again, what is the type of this logo? A good practice is always use the locator reference here. It's coming from the locator type. And then I really want to check this logo is really displayed, or I really want to check any property or perform any action on it. Because on logo, I cannot write dot fill or dot send keys. So let's say I'm using a dot logo dot enabled method. I'm writing it. So is enabled method will return what? Is enabled method, let's see, is giving me what? A Boolean here, right? So it's giving me true or false here. So again, I'm writing that, okay, and await, and then I'm going to store it in some variable. I'm storing in a variable, let's see, constant variable, which is again, I'm writing, let's see, logo exist or not here like this. And again, I'm writing an await concept here also, because this is again returning a promise here. And then the logo exists, I'm just going to print it, because this is kind of a Boolean type. If you really want to write a Boolean, that also you can write it like colon Boolean, but I'm just printing it on the console here that the logo exists or not. So it should give me true or false here. If logo is enabled, it will give you true. Otherwise, it will give you false here. Okay. So let's run it again. See, it's entering Naveen Automation Labs and checking the logo or not. So it's giving me true here. Absolutely simple, working fine here. So you can use the class name also directly like this. Now, you must be thinking that, can I use the class with in this particular format, like class is equal to something like this? So let's try that as well. So I'll do one thing. I'll just copy this exactly same thing. And let me just comment it out this one. And let me remove the dot from here. And then I'm writing the class is equal to img responsive, just like id equal to this. Is it a right locator strategy to create with the Playwright? Let's try that. So I'm going to run it again. And let's see, is it really giving me the right output or not? Okay, so see, immediately browser got closed. It means it's giving me some error here. And the error is saying is enabled, enable unknown engine class while parsing selector class equal to this. So it is not able to parse that particular line. That's why it's giving me the error here. So it is only and only applicable for the ID. Don't use class equal to like this. If you really want to use class, you have to use with the dot here. And don't use dot also here. It will not work. So this is not correct. So let me just remove this and let me again come back to the previous one. Simple. So class name also we can use it here like this. Then let's talk about the third one. The third one is again, come back here. The third one is saying the text selector. Whatever the text is available. Now text could be for a button also. It could be for a header also, label also. Text could be anywhere. It means an element that contains a specific text. Right? In Selenium, we were using only by.link text. That is only and only for links. But here I can use a text for any specific element that I can use it here. So let's see how to use this. So I'll do one thing again, come back here, and then let's writing with the text locator. I'm going to use it here. And what is the syntax? So let's see some element that I really want to create here. So I'll do one thing. I'll just come back here and I'll try that. Okay, let's see this registration account is having a text, which is what? Which is actually a kind of H1 and then register account is there, right? So I'll do one thing. The text is equal to register account. And then the element that I'm writing, let's see, this is my header is equal to this. And I really want to check, first of all, that it's a locator. So I'm writing a locator here. And I really want to check that header is what? Exist or not, or is enabled or not. So I'm writing that yes, is enabled method that I'm going to use it here. And then again, I'm going to store it in some variable. So let's see, again, I'm creating a variable that header exists or not, like this. And then I'm writing await here also. Don't forget to write await. And then I'm printing here that header exist is giving me true or false here or not. So you can write text is equal to register account also. You can use it here. So let's see, is it really working or not? So again, I'm going to run it and let's see. Okay, so here you can see that, yeah, it's giving me true here. It means for the registration account, the header text also, it is absolutely working fine. Can I apply the same thing for some other buttons also? So for example, let's see this continue is also having a text. If you inspect it here, although the text is not visible here, but can I use the text which is equal to continue, C capital here? Let's try that. So I'll do one thing. Let me just come back here and then I'm going to create another locator here. So let's quickly create one more locator. This is a button. So I'll write that, okay, this is the continue button, which is equal to this. Continue button is really enabled or not, exist or not. And then I'm printing the continue button exists, then give me true or false here, right? Or so I'm talking about the link is also having a text. So for example, let's see, I'm writing a forgotten password. This forgotten password is also here, which is a link, right? So can I use it here? So let's try that. So here I'm writing text is equal to forgotten password. And then I'm saying this is, and then check it is enabled and forgot password link exist or not. And then after that, I'm just printing it true or false here. You can write dot click or whatever you want to write, you can write it, but I'm checking is enabled. It's really there or not. Okay, action, I'm just going to use is enabled only. So for the text, this is for the header, this is for the button, and this is for the link. So three types of text that we are using. Let's see, is it really working or not? So I'm just going to run it again. Okay, so again, it will come back here. It will launch the browser and Naveen Automation Labs. And let's see, is it really working? And it's giving me true for all. So yes, everything is working perfectly fine here. Perfect. So yeah, no error, nothing, and then absolutely working fine there. Nice. Okay, so this is the text. So text can be applied on any element where the text is actually available. Okay. Now, after that, can I use CSS selector and the XPath? Of course, we can use it. But remember, whenever you are going to use a CSS selector, you have to write a prefix here. CSS is equal to this. And for XPath, you have to use XPath is equal to this. Okay, so let's try CSS and XPath. So I'll do one thing. I'll just simply come back here. And the fourth type that we are going to talk about, that's CSS based, right? So how to use it? Same thing, page dot locator. See this carefully. And then here I'm going to use what? CSS, which is equal to. So this is the prefix, or this is the identifier that we have to explicitly tell that we are going to use a CSS selector. So if you are aware of the CSS selector locator strategy, that how to create the CSS syntax and everything, the same syntax will work here as well. So let's see, I'll just pick one CSS here. For example, let's see, I want to enter email ID. And then I have this ID. So what is the CSS selector for this? I can use that this is my input hash ID. So this is a CSS selector. I can use it here. So input hash email ID, first of all, that I'm going to use it. So come back here and then see this. Okay. So this is the first locator, let's see, that I have created. And then this locator is for the email. So I'm just going to write the constant email, which is a locator type, which is equal to this. And let's try to create some other locators as well. So after email, let's see, I really want to create one for the telephone. This time I want to use, for example, ID, I don't want to use, let's say I want to use name. Name is equal to telephone. So in that case, again, I can write a CSS where input, and if it is not ID, if it is name is equal to what? The name is equal to telephone here. Okay. And then I'm giving some locator. Let's see, this is the telephone locator. This is what I have created here like this, and name is equal to this. Okay. Now let's try to create one more locator. So let's say I'm going to create a locator for this particular checkbox where I want to click. So again, type equal to checkbox is written. So what will be the CSS selector? Input type equal to checkbox. So I can check the CSS first of all here, that one input where a type is equal to what? Type is equal to checkbox here. Okay, so see, it's giving me 1 of 1. So I can just simply use this particular CSS and then come back here. So let's create one more constant variable. And this time I'm writing, this is the privacy checkbox, which is equal to, and this is again a locator type, which is equal to page dot locator. And what is the locator strategy that we are going to use? CSS is equal to this one. And remember one thing, if you are starting with single quote and internal value are written also with single quote, remove this internal value with the single quote and use with the double quote here. Okay. So this is CSS I have written. So this is CSS with the ID. This is CSS with the name. This is CSS with the type equal to checkbox. This is what I have written here. Now I'm going to perform some action on it one by one. Okay. So here I'm writing that once again, await, and on the email, which action you want to perform? Email dot fill. And what is the email that you want to enter? So let's see, my email ID is naveen@gmail.com. And again, await. And then I'm writing, this is my telephone number dot fill, and the phone number that I'm going to write, let's see something here. Okay. And then I want to select this particular privacy checkbox. So again, I'm going to use one await, and then this will be a dot click method that I'm going to use it here like this, because this is a checkbox. So we have to click on. Perfect. So let's see with the help of CSS also, is it really working or not? Okay. Make sure that whenever you're performing the action, you have to use await. If you're creating the locator, no need to use await here. So I'm going to run it again, this entire script once again. Let's see. So here you can see that, yes, it's entering all the email ID, passwords and everything. See, it's selecting the checkbox also here. I hope you can see that. And entering the email ID and the telephone number as well. And the script is absolutely working fine here. Nice. Perfect. So this is also working fine, right? So you can use CSS. But it is not mandatory to write CSS is equal to. See, I'm going to remove the CSS is equal to. By default, whenever you're writing page.locator, Playwright always assume that, okay, you are giving me a CSS selector by default. If you are not explicitly writing it, so Playwright is having the capability, it will automatically understand this is CSS syntax or not. So let me remove the CSS is equal to this. If you don't want to write, let's see, is it really working or not? So again, I'm going to run it. And see, the browser is getting open. And let's see, it is really handling those elements or not. See, it is handling it, entering the email ID, telephone, and then selecting the checkbox and not giving me any error here, right? So if you don't want to write CSS is equal to, you can avoid that. But it is always a good practice if you are explicitly mentioning here that CSS is equal to this or not. Because same thing you can write with the XPath also, like XPath is equal to this or not. Okay, so sometime you will see some people are writing the code CSS is equal to or without CSS is equal to. So it's up to you. I would prefer to use CSS is equal to. If you want to use it, you can use it here. Perfect. Now let's talk about the fifth and the last one for today, XPath here. XPath, we know that XPath is what? XPath is the address of the element inside the DOM, or you can say HTML DOM or HTML XPath or HTML path. What is the syntax? Syntax is simple, same thing. XPath is equal to, we have to write. So we will see with XPath equal to or without XPath equal to, right? So let's copy this and then let me just paste it here. And now I want to write an XPath. Okay. So let's pick one application. I mean, one locator here. Let's see for the password. And I'm going to create an XPath here. Let's see input hyphen password. And then I'm going to use the XPath for that. We know that XPath will start with what? 2/input. And we have to use @ID, and ID is equal to what? Input hyphen password. So this is the XPath that I'm going to use it here. and come back to the Visual Studio Code. And then I'm going to replace this entire XPath here to here. So we have to write XPath is equal to internal, we have to use double quote, and outside start from the beginning, we have to write single quote. Or you can interchange also. You can write starting with a double quote and internally, internal string will be within the single quote. That also you can write it here. And what kind of element it is? This is, let's see, my password element. So I'm writing password colon a locator type, which is equal to this. Okay, let's try to create one more XPath and one more XPath based locator. So for example, let's see, this time I really want to enter something in the search field. So here I can use, see, type equal to text or name equal to search. ID is not available, or I can use a placeholder also. So again, this is input, and name equal to search, that I'm going to use it here. So here ID, not ID, name is equal to search. And then I can use and I can use another locator also. One more attribute, let's see, with the type, which is equal to what? A text type. So see, this is giving me one of one. I have created this particular XPath. Come back here, and then I'm going to use it here. Remove this one and then paste it here. Again, internal strings should be written with double quote, and outside string should be written within the single quote. Okay, perfect. And I'm giving a nice name here. Let's see, this is my search locator. Okay. So two different XPath locators that I have created. Now I'm going to perform some action on it. So here I'm writing once again with the await that password dot fill. And what is the password that you have to enter? So let's see, my password is test@123. And again, I'm writing await, and then I'm writing the search dot fill. And then I want to enter something here. Let's see, a MacBook as a search that I really want to enter in the search text field. Perfect. Both are with the await. So let's see, is it really working or not? So I'm just going to run it again. So yeah, the browser is getting launched. And yeah, so see, it's entering the password here. It's entering MacBook also here in the search field. So yes, the XPath based locator also is working fine for me. Nice. So this is also fine. But here, can I ignore the XPath is equal to this? Let's try that. So let me remove this, and let me remove this also from here. Is it really mandatory to write XPath? So let's see. Just like we were using without CSS and with CSS also, let's see with XPath and without XPath now. So let's run it again. And you just simple come back here, and let's see. Yeah, see, it's working fine. It's entering the password here, and then the MacBook also here, and then absolutely working fine. And there is no issue with that. So yes, here also Playwright will automatically recognize this is a kind of XPath syntax. So you don't need to write XPath equal to here. But I would always prefer that for the better readability and the readability of the code point of view, that you always mention XPath equal to this. Because tomorrow, if someone else is reading your code and they are not much aware of the XPath and CSS, you can just quickly identify here with these identifiers like XPath equal to this or CSS equal to this. Like this also, you can use it here. And all type of XPath, your sibling XPath or preceding sibling, following sibling, or any kind of CSS will work here with the Playwright also. Because XPath and CSS, these are the browser properties. On the basis of XPath and CSS, your tool will try to interact with that particular element, and all the different types of CSS and XPath are supported here in the Playwright as well. So it's not like that you have to learn a special type of XPath with the Playwright. It's not like that. Same concept of CSS and XPath will work here. If you haven't gone through my CSS and the XPath videos, I have already prepared two amazing videos on CSS and XPath, how to become genius in XPath and how to become expert in CSS. Watch these two videos. After that, you don't need to go anywhere. You will be perfect in CSS and XPath locator strategies. Okay. So these are the top 5 locators that I have used, and use it. In the next video, I'll tell you about other different locators also. So that's all for this video. Thank you so much. Thanks for watching Naveen Automation Labs. Please subscribe to the channel and click on the bell icon so that you will get the notification for the next videos as well. Till then, take care and God bless you all guys.